The camera in action.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's virtual studio party where we have some creative community, make a little art, chat, and yes, I know things are opening up in the province of Ontario for those of you who are in Canada and in Ontario. I don't know what it's like for you where you are, but I am staying isolated. I'm not changing because, in fact, I have some health issues that make me more vulnerable, and nothing's changed in terms of COVID. The numbers are a little better for sure, but we haven't actually got a treatment. We haven't got a cure. We haven't got a vaccine. So I have to stay isolated. So for me, this is just continuing on with physical isolation and making my community online with you guys. So please, thank you for joining me. And I see some people are arriving, so that's nice. I will, when there are more people here, I will start off with a flip through of my book, where it stands, because of course it's made progress since last Saturday. And I'm working my way well through the book. Actually, I'm surprised at how much, if you look at it, I know that looks like a lot of pages, but in fact, I'm going to cut a few out and join some together, and it's going to end up not being nearly as many pages as that looks like remaining. So yeah, it's nice to be making progress on it. It's a beautiful sunny day here, and the garden looks fantastic. Hi, Rebecca, and hi, Kirk. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, hello.
It's just gorgeous out there today. So it's good for the soul, isn't it?
That's where we'll be going after our jam.
After this virtual studio party, Cal and I will head out to our backyard and have a little tea time and admire our weeds and our brush piles and whatever wildlife chooses to show up. So yeah. Oh dear. So I just want to say off the top that, and I'll say at the end again, that I'm going to be taking a break for a couple of weeks, but there's still one more after this before I take my 2 weeks off. So I just wanted to let you know that up front. So next weekend I'll be back here, same time, same place, and yeah, and Cal will be too, helping out. Okay, I'm going to back up. Oh, looks like some more people have joined us. Hi, everybody. Please say hi in the chat if you're able. You just have to sign in with your Gmail account if you have one. And that's Kay, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Hi, Kay.
Hi, Kay.
Nice to see you here. Got to back this up a little bit more. There we go. Because it'd be nice to have a combination of my head and the table, wouldn't it? Yeah, that's kind of nice. I'll move that out of the way now. And that. Good. All right. Oh, good. And more people. You're working on your book too, Rebecca.
Cool.
That's great.
And Kirk's doing cross-stitching.
Oh, fun.
Telling me he's a man after my own heart. I used to do a lot of embroidery when I was younger.
Yeah. Cal has, we actually have a couple of jackets Cal embroidered when he was in high school. High school or college? Probably high school, right?
Both, yeah.
Yeah, and they're wonderful.
Oh, and Stella just joined.
Oh, good. Hi,
Stella.
Stella. Welcome. Thanks for coming. And I see Sherry's here. Yeah, so you don't need to be ready to work, Sherry. It's nice to have you here. Yeah. Yeah, I remember the story with Cal and those embroidered jackets was that he asked his mother to do the embroidery, and she said, well, if you want that done, you need to learn how to do it, which I think, awesome mom, right? Yeah. Yeah, how are you doing in Los Angeles there, Stella? How hot is it there? We have a beautiful day here. I don't know actually how hot it is. We've had lovely.
It's actually really nice, like 18 degrees.
18 degrees Celsius, so that's like 65 Fahrenheit maybe, which honestly is my favorite. I like weather that requires me to wear a light jacket. But I know not everybody feels that way. Hey, Donna's here. Yay, Donna. So glad you made it. Nice to see you here.
Your feed is ahead of mine. I haven't seen
Is it?
yet.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Hi, Sherry.
It's fine. So, yeah, it is good, isn't it, Rebecca? And that was a long time ago because Cal and I are more decades along than we feel like we are, you know?
Yeah. Kay says, me too. Perfect weather. Golf this morning.
Oh, wow. That must have been a treat for you out in the lovely weather. So, well, hey, now that we've got a decent number of people here, why don't I said at the outset that I would do a flip through at the beginning and a flip through at the end. Because some people arrive late and so they miss out at the end or at the beginning. So, and some people leave early and so this is good. So, you know, still working on the old Orphan Canada or whatever, Orphan at My Door. This cover will not look like this after next Friday's Altered Books class.
You gotta keep it pristine.
Because I'm going to be dealing specifically with how to handle covers in that class. And so I have some plans for messing with it, for covering it, for all that. So I'm going to advance partway on those plans by dealing with these introductory pages that I purposely left blank because, like the cover, I didn't want to deal with them until I had really understood what the book was turning out to be. And as you know, I know myself well enough to know that it evolves. So I start off in one direction. So there's, you'll recognize this first spread. And so we have this sort of vessel here. I think of it as, you know, it can be anything you want it to be, and it can be purely abstract. But for me, it is a vessel, and it's a very rice bowl-like, you know, to my mind. And then there's this spread, and I don't know, this is a strange, again, can be purely abstract, which was my original intention. But once I did it, I felt like it had a feeling a bit like a nest, and as though there were 3 giant grains of rice in the middle. This one, I need to put fixative on this, the dark page, because some of the graphite is transferring over to the more pristine page. So I'll put some fixative on that, and then I will use my eraser to clean it up a bit. But there, you can see the resist there nicely. And of course, this is kind of a classic for me. I love this. It was interesting on the, I have an Altered Books Facebook group for the people who are in the course, and one student commented on its resemblance to chain link, and chain link is a motif that comes up in my work a lot. So, of course, then there's the collaged on shape, and then the collaged negative of the shape, and they're from different books. So, and it's the text is upside down on the negatives, and of course those little all over designs, and then this odd spread. And I'll just remind you, this is a reveal of the page below, whereas this is a collaged on circle shape. That's not collage. I masked that off and then painted. And just yesterday, Cal commented, which was so nice, Cal, that he really liked the dotty, impressionistic all over page on this.
I love the colors are in my wheelhouse, but I also really love the nuances and the graphic, but not perfectly graphic.
Yeah, it has atmosphere as well as graphic. So then this, out of the dot came much more precise dots and metallics, strangely enough, which then became, and a lot of detail. I'll just go in close. And then I continued with the metallic, heavy metallics on this one. And there you can see the little dots. So it's very important details, those dots. But from a distance, they're fairly subtle, especially the ones on the more blank page. Picking up from those dots, I did this spread, and the dots on this page are actual perforations. I've punched them out. So if I put my hand behind it, maybe you can see movement behind it. So when I flip it over, there's the other side of the perforations. And so I've done raised dots to complete the all over effect. I'll just go up close so you can see the raised dots. It's kind of a nice contrast with the striations on this page, which are also textural. And then I've added this shape. And this shape for me is also related to the vessel. So it's like the vessel has come back. Different, but then yesterday I got started on this spread. This isn't finished yet. It's got some image transfer here. You can see that went well, but that's fine. I have faith that it will turn out to be something good. And then a wash on this side with some modeling paste stencil, so you can see it's dimensional. I'm just deciding whether I want to continue it all the way down or not. I probably will, but I want to give myself mental space to think about that. And then this spread where I have on the one side blackout poetry and on the other side handwritten stream of consciousness writing layered over top of the, and last week you may remember that I read out the poem twice actually by request. This is a spread I think I'm going to work into a little bit today. It started off with gel monoprints. I did another kind of monoprint, sort of a transfer print onto each. I'm going to do some more transfer printing onto it. This is a spread. I did monoprints onto multi-impression on this one and just one on this one and gessoed the pages first. And I haven't decided what I'm doing. I kind of like what's happening, and so I'm reluctant to add anything if just for the sake of adding. Yeah, I don't want to just add because, oh, I should add. You know, if I can't think of something worth adding, then it's just going to stay the way it is. You may remember this one, very much related to the Black Lives Matter. And this side, you can see its connection to the previous spread. But this one was done with multiple layers of monoprinting, drawing through monoprinting. And then I applied some of the residue to this page, and I left it at that. So now I have a couple of pages that I have glued together, some pages, but I've added a fair bit of thickness to my book by having these, the modeling paste. This is matte gel. I'm just going to point out in the matte gel how frosted it looks, but it's translucent, so you can see through to the ground underneath, but in a very interfered with way, which is kind of fun. But that has thickness. The little nubs have thickness. So I need to get rid of some pages because the book is doing that.
Stella says, your book is very inspiring to me and others too, I imagine. Thank you for sharing it and sharing your creative process.
Oh, thank you, Stella. That's very nice. It is a pleasure to share it with you, actually. Genuinely. Yeah. Now, I have a section where I had removed some pages. I don't know if you can see that. See how there are gaps creating sections? Those are where I removed pages. So there's one coming up. I'm going to lift my glasses so I can see because I think, yeah, there's an opportunity here to get rid of a few more pages in a kind of logical place. Get myself a knife. And, oh, I have a nice ribbon place marker I can use, so I won't lose my place. And I need some cardboard. I did have a nice piece of, there it is. No, that's not it. Oh, that was it, but it's not. Well, obviously I've mislaid that, so I will look for something I can use instead. This, no, this. Going through the piles to find the thing that I need. It's just a classic scenario, isn't it? Oh, this is fun. This is a palette pad, as you can see, and you see the anatomical heart drawing. So I drew it and redrew it and redrew it because I was making monoprints from it. And this is the residue that just stayed on the paper. I don't know, it's kind of fun. All right, so I think I have about 3 pages here. I can, yeah, till I get to the next already cut section. So I'm going to get rid of those 3 pages. I just have to decide. I always want to orient it the way that it will be more, lie more flat for a better cut. Better cut and an easier cut and a safer cut. I'll just wedge that cardboard in there. Where did I? There's my ruler.
Your work is always a cut above.
He's such a smoothie. I hope you all caught that. Cut. There we go. Patiently. I didn't have to crank down with a lot of force to make the cuts. I did it patiently, repeating, being mindful of holding the ruler in a consistent place. And as a result, I've got nice clean cuts. So there's my, you can see the remainder of pages there. So people sometimes ask me, well, what should I do with those remainders? Because you don't want to cut too far in or you'll actually start to structurally weaken the binding. There needs to be about 1/4 of an inch sticking out. You can glue them to the side that lies more flat. So to this side and to this side in this case, you can see how that, hopefully you can see how that just lies more flatly than this, which has to curve out a lot. So you could glue them down to that. I'm just going to leave them, frankly, and I can paint them if I need to blend them in. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about gluing them or anything like that. Not at this stage anyway. If I could change my mind later, and that's fine, you know.
You're giving yourself permission to change your mind?
Yeah. Oh, another page came out.
Uh-oh.
I guess it had enough of a cut from my original cut. Now this one's sturdy, so that one will just stay in. Okay. That's good. Well, first thing I want to do is I decided yesterday that I'm going to
What do you mean? Back from it?
yeah, just cutting my head off a bit now.
And come back.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Now my head's. They've only got my chin now.
In a second.
Yep. Oh, that's so much. A little touch, just a touch more. Okay. Sorry, guys. All these technical issues.
Is that good?
It can come just ever so slightly forward. Oh, okay, that's great. Thanks. Okay, so here's my book. I've got 4 pages at the beginning, and I'm going to glue them in pairs. In fact, one of them is sort of partially glued already. I don't know how that happened. And just to make it simpler, I'm going to use glue stick. So it's a dry process rather than a wet one. Maybe that must have happened in the original bookbinding, actually, because I haven't put any glue there. So that's fine.
You just got a head start.
Yep, just help me out a bit. So I'll just get a page protector. So do any of you have things that are blooming in your gardens, on your balconies, in your potted plants, you know, depending on what your circumstances are? I think I mentioned last week how sad I am that the vinca is no longer blooming. But hopefully today, when we go out for our tea time, Cal and I will see the strawberries blooming, wild strawberries, which I know is considered an aggressive weed, but we actually really like having wild strawberries. So we're I guess for some people we're really annoying neighbors because we like the flowers and then we like to pick the strawberries. You know, we don't spray we don't use poisons on our lawn or garden at all. So all of that stuff, we just need to wash things that we harvest from it.
All right, we have to do a COVID careful field trip to California because
what's up?
Stella says roses and lilies and honeysuckle.
Oh,
wow, and so it smells great too.
Yeah,
so,
that sounds great.
Rebecca says not blooming, but lots of herbs and veggies growing like crazy.
Oh, that's fabulous.
And Donna Nickel says lots of herbs: thyme, basil, sage, mint, oregano. Wow.
Wow, that's a lot.
A very tasteful garden, Donna.
Yeah, tasty, tasteful.
Yeah.
Okay. It's nice getting some pages glued up, and then I'll go to a different part of the book, and you know, it's cool and a little bit damp because there is a little water content in this to make it moist and workable, but it doesn't take a long time to dry. This is good. At the very beginning, the first pages I did, I just worked with the pages single ply. I didn't glue any of the pages together. And then I realized that that was a mistake. Because even though the paper has a decent, you know, feels like it's a decent weight, it, you know, it was never meant for mixed media. So when I added wet media to it, it changed. The paper reacted. And it wasn't going to be up to harsher processes, you know, things that have more weight or If I punch holes in it, be more delicate. So. Okay. Sure that corners are always tricky. They like to dry out quickly, so I always try to make sure, extra sure of corners. And I'm going to come around to the other side and trust that this is clean enough that I can work it on this side. If it's not clean enough, then of course just put a protective sheet there. So, oh, one of the things that's started to bloom in our garden a few days ago, just started, is our mock orange, which 99% of the time is a completely tedious shrub. But when the flowers bloom, the white blossoms are pleasant to look at. But the fragrance, oh my God, it smells so good. And we have it right next to our table there, so in the backyard. So that's a treat. And that's going. Okay, so now I've got my 2 double pages glued together. There's my cover. So I'll move along.
And those will be important decisions, those first few pages, won't they? So,
yeah, so that's why I don't do it right away, because I don't even know what I'm doing at that point. I haven't figured out what the book is. So I'm just going through. Right? Yeah. I won't do the cover first.
You think about it, in a normal book creation, you write the book and then you come up with the cover.
You write the book, then you design it.
Exactly. So it makes sense.
Okay. And I'm going to glue, so I have 2 blank glued together things here. I'm going to glue together another couple, I guess, to get, so that I'll be able to do something, not necessarily today, but put my page protector.
Don't forget that.
Don't forget your protection. There we go. So I watched something interesting last night, and please share in the chat if you've been watching anything interesting. On Amazon Prime, I watched Knives Out, and it's called Knives Out, and it's a film, and it's kind of it's humorous, but it's not slapstick, right? Or it's just humorous, and it's got an amazing cast. Let me think. Who's the British actor playing the detective? Oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember. I'm trying to.
I'll get on it. Knives Out.
Yeah. I'm gonna kick myself when I hear who it is. I'm trying to summon the picture in my mind, but I'm not seeing the person. I'm seeing the trappings of the character.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. Yeah. In a very different role for him. He's playing a detective, kind of Hercule Poirot-ish, but not at the same time. And the mystery someone dies, and there's a family, and there's a fortune, and there's a mansion, and there's a Paraguayan nurse who's got an illegal immigrant mother. And it just, I don't know, it was very enjoyable to my mind. And the cast, Christopher Plummer is in it.
Chris Evans, Jamie Lee
Chris
Curtis.
Evans, Captain America, in other words. Jamie Lee Curtis is amazing in it.
Ana de Armas.
Yes, and she's one of the stars with Daniel Craig. And
Don Johnson. Right?
Yeah, Don Johnson is in it. and he's quite funny.
Toni Collette.
Toni Collette, the British actress. She was in About a Boy and loads of other films. But she plays a hilarious character in it.
Lakeith Stanfield.
She plays a social media influencer, aging, but yeah, very funny. I would actually like to have seen a little more about her a little peek into her life as a social media influencer. But anyway, because I think she would have done an amazing job with that, but the movie did not go on to that particular side trip. Yeah, so Don Johnson from Miami Vice, right?
Christopher Plummer too.
Yeah, Christopher Plummer. Yeah, I did.
Sorry.
And anyway, if you like things that are a little offbeat and
yeah, Rebecca had already said. Rebecca
has she seen it?
Yeah. Kirk was saying we should watch that tonight.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, really, I don't know. Maybe, hopefully you'll like it as much as I did, but I found I needed something that was not going to be violent, not going to be too challenging on any level last night.
There's a lot of
and sometimes
justly challenging
stuff
that we need to deal with these
but
days,
you need to have some
too,
in order to be resilient you have to have breaks. So I sometimes what that means is you end up watching something that's kind of that was just faff, and wasn't very interesting, but I really enjoyed this one. So anyway, anyone else watching anything interesting? I'm almost finished rewatching The Night Manager, which is also on Prime, which is a fantastic limited series. It's like a 6-hour movie, but in parts. Many of you may have seen it already, but Hugh Laurie and Tom Hiddleston and Olivia Colman, brilliant, really.
Mia says, Mia here. Amazing, Kim and Cal. You're on today. I thought you were taking a little break. Must have misunderstood. I told her you're on this week and next before I was taking a little break.
That's right.
Is it 2 weeks that you're taking?
I'm going to take 2 weeks off, but next week I'm still here. So,
right.
Yeah. And I'm going to put the dates everywhere I can so that you'll be able to find it on my website, on this channel, and because I know it's really annoying when there's a break, and how do you even keep track of when it ends, when it starts up again, and because I've been that frustrated person. So yeah, by Monday, I should have everything up on social media and so on to make it clear. Okay, I've got a couple of
so here Rebecca
pages.
Has one to suggest, which I think should be right up your alley, Kim, because it is, he says, just watch Broadchurch, which was great, which is a
yes, that's
British
the one with David Tennant
drama. Oh,
and
so,
Olivia Colman.
Oh, well then sign me up. I love David Tennant.
Watched, I think, are they 3 or 4 seasons that series, and I watched a good chunk of it, and then I think at the end of one season, well, it's a pretty intense series, but at the end of one season, it was just like, oh my God, I can't deal with this right now. I forget what else was going on in my life, but I never picked it up again. I just needed to take a break from it. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I'm going to go back to it. But what those 2 actors alone, I forget who else is in it, but those 2, they're so good.
So Elaine Whitaker.
Oh, hi, Elaine.
Says The Night Manager is excellent. Hi, guys. And
yeah, it's so good, eh? Just gripping and nuanced, and lots of surprising developments, and the acting is amazing. The direction is so good. Yeah.
Kay says Broadchurch is so good. Elaine says Broadchurch is intensely good.
So clearly I have to go back and pick up. Hopefully at the beginning of the season, they give a little recap of the previous season. I'll just figure out where I was at and start again, because, I mean... all right.
Mia says, Rebecca, Broadchurch was amazing. We're watching The Wire series on Crave, 5 seasons. Terribly intense, educational, well done.
Oh, interesting. Educational, too. That's very interesting. I'll have to look it up.
Kay now says, now I need to watch The Night Manager.
Seriously, it is so good.
And Elaine says, check out Trapped, Icelandic mystery.
Oh,
Ooh. If it's got Iceland,
I love Iceland.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You got me there. Mystery, love a good mystery. So thank you for that.
I better start a little list here.
Yeah, especially because I have a break coming up, right?
Right.
I'm going to try and the first week I am just going to chill out. So I'll probably be watching a lot of movies and I don't know, reading some books. Could happen, right? So I mentioned to you I have a plan for the cover. So I know that what I want is some silver on the page that you first open up onto. So I'm going to lay that in with my, I'll just remind you, my Liquitex paint marker that's in silver. Actually, it's not mine, it's Cal's. I'm building up now so that I need to place an order at an art supply store. Always shake and pump your paint pens, kids. You'll thank yourself. Hopefully there's enough left in this paint pen for me to do this page. There is something really fun about a really fat paint marker, I have to say. Cal did a whole series of paintings where it was the grounds, right, that you did, that the grounds were all done in fat paint markers.
What are you thinking of?
The letters, the negatives of the letter clusters. You showed them at Queen West Art Crawl, and you used paint pens, fat paint pens to make the marks.
I'm not remembering that.
He doesn't even remember his own work.
I can't even remember my own work. That's
pretty funny.
All right. So Elaine says Shetland is good too.
Oh, and that's actually on the Shetland Islands, isn't it? I think.
Elaine, do I detect a empty, bleak, open spaces kind of drama thing going on with Iceland and Shetland Islands?
Yeah, maybe there's the Isle of Skye as well, or Land's End or something.
Rockall.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe something in the Falkland Islands too.
Yeah, but obviously we have that we have an interest in common there. Just add another one. Yeah.
Rebecca says, just also watch The Good Place, silly and fun.
Oh, I love that series, and they're working on another season of it, I understand.
Yeah,
so.
And Elaine also loves it.
Yeah.
And Mia says, The Wire, set in Baltimore, show centers around the city's inner city drug scene and how it relates to the city's education, politics, journalism, etc.
Oh, so I see how it could be educational then.
Totally. It's a thing, like.
Yeah, it's all connected. All these things are connected. Funny. It's nice when a TV show actually shows the reality of that.
Like, cut all the social programs and then, oh, but we can afford to up the police to deal with all the repercussions. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Don't get me started. Okay.
No, let's not.
It's art.
Let's not.
Keep it on art.
Yes, because we all need an art break.
Exactly.
I know I do. So not that there aren't serious things to discuss, but
Mia says,
yeah,
you
this
got it
is
exactly.
yeah. So this surface is just so delicious, and I've done that on untreated book paper. So as I've mentioned on numerous occasions, this is very absorbent book paper. So I'm impressed actually that I get such a nice silver surface from the pen, even though the paper is desperately trying to absorb it. It does change a little bit as it dries, but not tons. And I could have prepped the surface first, and that might have been prudent. But the pen is rescuing my little tuchus. Sounds cuter in Yiddish, I think.
Rebecca, I think, addressing the Good Place says 4th season is last and just finished.
Oh, so it's the 4th season's up. Wow. So I've missed that.
Elaine says, remind me again the brand of the silver pen, please.
Liquitex professional paint marker. Yeah. And, this is how fat the nib is compared to my thumb. So it's a nice, but of course it comes in many different sizes of nibs. And you can get replacement nibs, am I right?
Nibs, I don't know. I think you can open those somehow. I've never tried it, but
to refill.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can refill these.
I think. If you're done with it, I'll try and read up.
Yeah, okay. What was that? Was it Molotov?
Molotov.
Slicks or something they called it? Or
Dripstick.
Dripstick. So it's related to a paint pen. Street artists use them. Molotov Dripstick, and it's an empty container, kind of like the body of that paint marker. And you can put any ink, fluid, paint. It said even viscous paint, by which I would think medium viscosity. And the end, instead of being a nib, is a kind of dauber end. And when I've watched artists using it, it just seems to glide beautifully. So that's going on my shopping list for art supplies. I might get, depending on what they cost, 2 or 3, so I can mix up. This is one of the things, right? You can mix custom colors and put them in, which is really, really nice. And yeah, so I'm kind of dying to do that. People who have taken my figure classes, I don't call it life drawing, I call it figurative art, because it's really about working with a model to apply artistic thinking and adventurous processes. So one of the classes that is most recalled by the students and brings a smile to their face every time they remember it is the Bingo Daubers class, where I brought in a whole basket full of Bingo Daubers of different colors. And yeah, we did the figure using Bingo Daubers, and honestly, and sometimes in combination with other things, it was awesome. So that's the kind of fun I like to have.
Mia asks if anyone is watching Gracie and Frankie on Netflix.
Oh, that's the Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin series. I think I watched 2 seasons of that. And then again, took a break from it for some reason. And it's a nice comedy. And, personally, I think it's great seeing 2 veteran women actors playing leads like that. And they're, you can feel that they're kind of wacky and deals with real issues, but yeah. But they did a bunch of seasons, didn't they? Maybe you know how many seasons they did.
Mia says, did I miss the book flip through at the beginning?
I'm going to repeat the book flip through at the end because I know some people miss the flip through at the beginning.
Not to name any names, Mia.
Not everybody is able to arrive, you know, in the first 5 minutes, and I get that. So that's why I thought, and sometimes people have to leave early, so I thought it'd be nice to have it at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so I've got my silver prepped. And I'm thinking about this. I'm kind of thinking about black here. But black here might be interesting, and then do a ground on it. Yep, you're watching me think live on YouTube. This is so not like a cooking show, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, I know. This I can deal with right away. I don't need to mull it over so much, and that there's some benefit to that. So I'll get my placeholder there, and I'll cut myself some plastic. If I can find my scissors. There they are. Good. Yeah, because I'm going to do some monoprinting, not gel plate, but plastic bag monoprinting to deal with this spread. So I am literally just cutting part of a shopping bag out. PC Optimum.
Donna asks, how do you decide on the book and content? So few words, such a big question.
Such a big question. Eh? Yeah, good question. Yeah. Good question. I did actually answer that question in writing to someone. I don't remember what the context was.
For your just altered books.
Yesterday, someone was at, oh, it was on Instagram. That's what it was. So sometimes people pick books for their content. Okay. You know, like, for example, an old textbook with medical stuff in it, and then the book deals a lot with anatomical or health or body or something, and so there's a very intimate connection between the content of the book and the alterations that are made into the book. In my case, I did the opposite. I was attracted to this book because of its size. So the page size, this is a small but not miniature book. It's also not a super thick book, but it's not, you know, a really thin book either. So there's a satisfying amount of pages to work in. Of course, I could cut more pages out, and that would make it even more manageable. As well, it has very classic book design grid, and the typography, it's not brilliant, but it's classic. Remembering that my background is as a graphic designer with a special interest in typography, the font that they chose for this, which is Gaudi Old Style, is a really classic book font. And they've done let's just say typographically, they've done a decent job. So I like that. The content didn't matter to me at all. I liked that there was some variety in it. I didn't know if I would make any use of the fact that it had chapter openings that were different, subheadings, and very nicely, which is, I think is not used enough. I don't know if I'll find any, but they use some classic printer's ornaments sparingly, like that one. Like that one. And that has a whole history, and it's part of the tradition of European typography. So anyway, I liked that. And because it is text rather than, it's not an illustrated, I think there might be a few images at the back, but it's not an illustrated book. It's not a photographic book. So it gave me a nice neutral background, but with some classic book look stuff that can show through. There you go, Donna. That's my answer. Okay. I've got to mix up some paint here. Very good. I don't have my apron on.
Uh-oh.
Would you mind fetching me my apron from the other? I think it's on the other chair. And I need some open medium.
You want the cleaner or the dirtier one?
The cleaner one. I saved my cleaner apron for public consumption. That's the cleaner one. It can't stand up by itself. That's how I know the difference. But before I start splashing red paint around, I better get my apron on, right?
Yes, so Gracie and Frankie's first 6 seasons are streaming on Netflix. 7th and final set to debut next year.
Isn't it wonderful how popular that turned out to be? A series starring older people.
Yeah.
Very nice.
7 seasons. That's pretty impressive.
It is. It's very impressive. Martin Sheen's in it. Sam Waters. Is it Waters or Waterston? I can't remember.
Watershed?
Mm-hmm. Not Watershed. Okay. A sensible person might do this on a palette rather than the actual thing that they're going to print from.
Yeah.
But we all know I'm not necessarily sensible at all times.
Mia is stuck on hold for over an hour trying to sort out an order she placed in mid-May and still hasn't got. So she's very happy that you're on.
Oh.
So that she's got something.
Yeah, you got something to keep you going. Oh, that's rough. Well, I hope you can sort it out today so that
maybe give you a freebie too.
Yeah, someone in a class.
Yeah, had to follow up on an order they hadn't got, and they sent them something else free, or
yeah.
So
if
you've been waiting since mid-May, I think
that's a good argument.
Yeah.
I need some painter's tape. I don't see any painter's tape here.
All right.
I've got 100,000 objects on this table. Well, no, maybe I've got 10,000 objects on this table, but painter's tape isn't one of them. It genuinely, like, we have a whole drawer full of easy to get at painter's tape, if you wouldn't mind.
I'm just hoping that there's some left.
Well, I haven't been using it up, so. Anyway, the reason I want painter's tape is because I have this, I want to work into this red here, and I want to protect some of this white, which is the paper white from the original monoprint. Thank you, dear. Much appreciated.
This house would grind to a halt if we didn't have lots of rolls of painter's tape.
That's right.
And lots of Olfa knives.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how many Olfa knives we own. It's so hard to find them, it seems.
Yeah, I've lost another one, and it's like
we'll find it again, but it's so annoying. So, I might add another Olfa knife to my art supply list just to.
Let's get a 5-pack.
Yeah, five pack would be great, wouldn't it? I don't think they sell them that way, but they should.
Only the dollar store cheapies, which
Yeah.
are not worth the money.
Well, they're better with the Olfa knife blades in them.
Well, yes. Still not worth it.
Okay, let's protect this baby. So, those of you who are working on something, when you have a moment, because you're working on something, so please let us know in the chat what you're up to. Be fun to know. Seeing as I can't just look over at you and see what's on your table.
Yeah, virtual is great, but it does have some limitations.
It does.
It has some advantages too.
Yeah.
Quite a few people have told us that they watch the replays or sort of have them on while they're working in the studio, which I think is lovely.
I think that's really nice because
Right.
it's companionable, right?
Yeah, and you can just listen to us chat, look up occasionally, or just stay focused on what you're doing, but still have some sort of company.
Which is nice at a time when in-person classes, for example, or shared studio experiences are just not a great option, if they're even available, which I suppose in some places they may become so soon, but not all, and not everybody can take advantage of them even when they are. But it also reminds me of the years when Cal and I had our design studio. I have really nice memories of we were in the beaches. You know, we had our design studio in a number of different locations, which is to say in our home in a number of different locations. So we're in the beaches. It was a nice room that we're in, high ceilings and kind of nice square, generous room with a bay window. And Morningside every morning. We'd have Peter Zosky talking to, the woman who had the prize-winning jam or something, or pie in PEI, and then speaking to a former finance minister about current issues, and then, literally anything and everything, right? It was really, and his beautiful voice and his lovely demeanor in his interviews.
You are crazy.
There. That's good, actually.
And so it really transferred nicely, eh?
Yeah, transfers beautifully.
So
It's very subtle because I'm doing red on red, so the effect is very subtle. I don't know if I hold it up, whether you'll even see it. Yeah, actually, see the stripes in that corner? That's from that.
And your sort of groove making
and this
tool.
This
right?
is what made the stripes. Yeah. Yeah, I love these things. I have more of the ones that you hold in your hand, but yeah, the silicone tools.
And
Catalyst.
you could use a lot of different tools to do a sort of transfer drawing like that.
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely. Well, for example, actually, where's my eraser? Here's an eraser. I need to do some more erasing. You try things and they don't always work well. And so I wanted to come in and make it more red again.
But in an interesting way.
Yeah. No, I just, it's just me fiddling around.
Okay.
You can just rub as well. That'll get more subtle effects.
And it's staying wet because of the open medium right now?
Yeah.
Because otherwise that's a very thin amount of paint on.
Exactly, and it will dry just about instantly.
On the plastic, yeah.
Sure, I sure hope I put barrier cream on, because
Yeah, I don't think so.
here's my black.
Oh, so you sort of reuse them?
You can.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just thinking. It's a dangerous thing to be thinking, you know?
So Kim,
Yes, my love.
that black sheet
Yeah,
that has the dried paint.
Yeah.
What would happen if you misted that with alcohol, waited a couple minutes, a little bit of time, and then tried to do the transfer from it?
it would probably be too watery
Right.
and have some dry, cruddy bits in it. So I wouldn't be inclined to do that.
Right.
I'm using my small brayer today, which is a relative virgin.
It's a brayerette.
It's sort of fun, but it's nice when you're doing small areas. So I'm going to come into that where I put those first stripes, and I'm going to sort of cross hatch with a different red. Oh yeah. So the different red really shows up. Let's see. So maybe I'll get a bit of this on, and then when it's dry, I can bring some of the more orange red back in. See, it's good that I put some tape down. It's good. And it's another kind of silicone tool. It's a shaper that I believe they use in ceramics or pottery or clay. Let's put it that way, in order to shape or work the surface. I'll bring in a third red. Hopefully there's enough open medium in there already. That will survive. Whoa, the pages do like to spring up at you. There are the things you can control, and there are the things you can't control.
Do you have the wisdom to know the difference?
No,
wisdom is overrated anyway,
yeah,
especially in artistic exploration, right?
I don't know that wisdom is my defining feature as an artist? Well, a certain kind of wisdom, a wisdom that has to do with
Staying true.
embracing,
Yeah.
embracing what happens. So perhaps that would qualify as a form of wisdom. It's quite Buddhist too. You're wondering if there's chat going on? Mia is my last chat. I just realized I don't have my Ethernet in.
Yeah, there's a bunch of comments there that I don't have, I don't think.
Oh yeah? Maybe you need to reload, Cal.
My page.
Okay.
So if you've been commenting and I haven't been answering, I apologize.
Cal is just reloading his feed so that
All
he
right.
can read all the comments.
Yeah. All right. All right. I'm
I'd
way
love to
behind,
hear what's
way
up.
behind.
Oh, are
Sorry,
you?
guys. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
All
that's
right.
exciting.
So,
I thought it had gone very quiet.
Yeah, so did I. So sorry, guys.
Thanks for figuring it out.
All right. So Donna asks, why open? Medium. And do you want me to answer that?
Well, first mention what open refers to.
Yeah, so open medium refers to the fact that it stays open to work longer. So anytime you're doing a really thin application for something like what Kim's doing here, where the acrylic paint would dry very quickly otherwise, it's good to have the open medium to just mean that it doesn't dry instantaneously. Like she's putting a thin layer on the plastic and then transferring through it. So if it dried in a minute, as it normally
wouldn't
would,
transfer.
It wouldn't transfer.
Yeah.
But this way it'll stay open for at least several minutes, maybe a bit longer.
You can also do it with retarder, but open medium is a true acrylic medium as opposed to an additive.
Mia says, love the red apron. Elaine says, I'm off the couch now and in my studio. Thanks for inspiring me to get my butt moving.
That's lovely. Well, just remember, it doesn't have to move fast, right? You can move gently.
Yeah. Mia says, of who she's on the phone with, it's Old Navy. Seems impossible to get through to them by email or phone. Next week, I'll go to the store to see if anyone will be willing to actually help her.
I'm sorry to hear that. That just sounds like such a drag.
Kay says she's been creative. Have to be creative cooking today. Bought a whack of veggies at a farm. Oh, great. Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Oh, and Donna is looking. So sorry, I'm getting us all caught up. You guys have typed this ages ago, right? Donna says, I'm looking through a book called Geometry of Design by Kimberly Elam. I have that book. It's an interesting one, isn't it?
Neat.
It has all these iconic designs with transparencies that show the design structure, and it's quite.
Sounds like a book I would enjoy looking through. So you said you have it too?
Yeah.
How did you get it?
I bought it as part of my study.
When you were teaching design.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cal used to teach design at Halliburton School of Art and Design.
Mm-hmm. Donna says, example of the Barcelona chair by Mies van der Rohe. It explains curve proportion. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Actually, I used to teach the design class for the drawing and painting certificate at Halliburton. Yeah.
Rebecca says, Zosky was the chancellor of Trent when we graduated and spoke at our graduation ceremony. Wow.
Who was?
Peter Zosky.
Oh, wow. What a treat that must have been.
Stella says, working with repetition, patterns, and then mistakes that alter or break the pattern.
Nice.
I don't have to wait long. I make a lot of mistakes. Oh, but the pattern and exception is just such a fun game, isn't it?
Oh, it's a great game. Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
Donna says, it was great to have some ideas. Kim and Cal have to go out. Have a wonderful tea time with your strawberries.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for coming by, Donna.
And Annie has just joined us. Hello,
Hey,
Annie.
Annie. Nice to see you.
Hi, Kim and Cal. Where did the time go? I missed the first hour. Is this gel printing? I will have to rewatch.
I am monoprinting, but not with a gel plate. I've just been getting it to dry. It's not 100% dry, but it's pretty far along. So I feel like there's more richness now to my original. It was a gel monoprint to begin with, onto which I did some other forms of monoprinting.
Right, and so this is just adding reds on top of reds, so it's adding subtle.
It's giving it depth.
Yeah.
And I might just give it a lick with the brayer here. Just for depth. Give it a lick there too. Oh, Elaine, I'm getting some nice little tiny dendrites here. There we go. Okay. And the next page gets to benefit from little bits of red on the edges. That's what I'm doing.
Elaine says, "Ooh."
Yeah. That's pretty great. Of course, now I've messed with it again, so now I have to dry it some more. Now, if I want to do anything else on any other page, I'll just dry it a little bit more, and then actually I think I'll work onto this black page a little bit.
Mia says, "Love those 2 pages and the next pages."
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've got a few things going on there. I feel like it's when I first started the book. There's the initial reluctance to mess with a book, right? Because how many of us have been taught all our lives, don't fold the corner, don't put a mark in the book, don't underline things. Where some people feel quite free, they write marginalia, and some books, I think, for example, by writers who mark up books and write notes in them, it can be fascinating to read what they've written in and what they've noticed, what they've underlined. But yeah, my mother was a librarian. Like, come on, I wasn't allowed to muck up a book. Oh my God, more than my life was worth. No, and I'm talking about someone who drew on the walls. Yeah, so not that my mother liked that either, but anyway.
Well, you've always been willing to pay a high price for your art. Spanking, schmanking. Where's that lipstick?
Yeah, yeah. It's true. I couldn't help myself from an early age. And I've just continued along those lines, I guess. Okay, so now that I've got this, I should roll her out the little brayer here. And for the black, I'll just use open acrylics, so I don't need to mix the medium in, because this is already a mixture, different formulation of acrylic with the open medium as a base. I did buy it when they first came out, or within the first year or so, the 2 that they came out. I bought a small set of colors, and I didn't like how the colors looked. It's hard to explain. There was a thinness to the colors. So I wasn't keen on them, but I have to say that, for printmaking purposes, it's very handy, especially to have a black, or whatever kind of uh, basic color is your go-to color. It's very useful to have it in them. But the alternative is you make your own mixture and put it in a jar and have it available.
Mia says some books need artistic improvements, and you're doing an amazing job.
Oh, thank you. Well, there are so many orphaned books and discarded books in the world. But I actually think, unlike one of our regulars at the virtual studio parties, although I haven't seen her announce herself here today, Valerie, she works with garbage. Like, that's her thing. She goes and collects. Wow, that's quite interesting. What's going on there? Trying to get the residue off of anything that easily removes so that I keep my brayer clean. She works with garbage. She goes hunting. She'll thematically do things like a particular location where she'll gather garbage and make things out of. And really, she does an astonishing job with them. Printmaking and collage and weaving, and yeah, it's quite. I'd off my cap to her.
I don't remember her last name, but her first name was Rowena at Halliburton.
Yes.
Did those amazing book sculptures.
But we have one.
Yeah, actually, I should get that. That's great.
Yeah. I should remember to show that to my class next week.
Yes, you should.
We have a small collection of other people's art, but it includes a student work from one of the students we taught in Halliburton in the VCAD program, which is the year-long, it's like a foundation year for our college. And yeah, so just for fun, I'll just show you, I'm using one of these erasers that you add onto a pencil as my tool.
Seeing as Kim's hands are
Yeah, my
painted,
hands are dirty, so I don't want to touch it.
This is a piece that Rowena did using a book. She did all these. She did, I don't know, at least a couple of dozen, maybe 3 or 4 dozen different books, and sculpted them in different ways by folding to create different shapes.
Yeah.
And this is.
It was hard to choose which one to buy.
But isn't it gorgeous? It's still dynamic too, which is kind of.
My first marks went on really well, and then the next marks got too dense, got mucked up. But it actually might be all right. Okay, so actually it will be all right if I transition from the density to finer lines using the actual pencil end. Okay, come on, Kim, you can do it.
Rebecca says Hannah Strand was doing books in her year. I recognize that name.
I recognize the name too, but I don't remember.
I think I can see her face, but I don't remember her work as well.
Yeah.
Me.
Too many years of too many classes. It can be hard sometimes to remember everybody. In fact, we don't remember everybody.
No.
Although we'll recognize a face when we see them.
Mia says sculpted book equals wow. And
yeah.
Elaine says beautiful. Yeah, they really were.
Yeah. And sculpted books is a whole thing, various approaches to sculpting them as a form of altered book. Okay, now I'm starting to get happy. Over in the black section. So I laid down these thicker marks, and it was looking good, but I needed some in the corner, and then it got really dark and dense. So I thought, oh, I've wrecked it. But really, it's kind of an answer to this darkness down here. But I realized what I needed was some transition. Can you see the finer marks that I've introduced in here? So that creates some transition, and then I added in these over here, so I'm quite excited about. There is something, Paul Klee used to work this way. He used oil paint rather than acrylic. And there is something about the printed surface or the printed line that's different than the directly drawn line or area that I find really compelling. And so I have to think about this red side now. The black side is definitely looking more compelling to me now, which I'm glad about, because it was nice, but it was something not finished about it. So the red side, I'm going to have to let that sit and process in my brain. Now, I don't know, I might bring some of those marks onto this page. This page has some really beautiful things going on in it that are from the wetness of the plate that I applied. It was quite a surprise, and actually some really beautiful fluid marks happening just from the physics of it. But I think I might bring some marks out here. Oops. I'll stabilize this, but you don't want to press down on it because it'll create marks wherever you press. So, okay, that's good. Let's get some. Yes. It's great when the magic works.
Rebecca says they did a sculpted book project as part of 3D design at VCAD. And I'm thinking, I wonder if they did that after Rowena showed them how amazing it was.
Yeah, it's a brilliant form to work with, right? So, yeah, that would have been after Rowena, because she was quite early in our being a visiting artist. I don't know if it was our first or our second year doing it.
Stella Dunn says, love Paul Klee, my favorite. And yeah, me too. He's a major
He's incredible, yeah.
And I love, one thing I particularly love about, there are so many things to love about Paul Klee is that, but there's so much nowadays about how, you know, making big, ambitious work is how you make it. And he's like a giant of the 20th century, and most of his work was very modestly scaled.
Yeah, very modest size.
Exquisite, but modestly scaled.
But prolific and exquisitely cataloged. Because it's those, you know, German culture is really strong on systems and organization, right? It's not that every German is organized and systematic, but the culture certainly helps promote it. And he was Swiss German, and he, wow, he had a coding system like mine, of course. My system is a train wreck. I am building up a spreadsheet that's, I guess, what you could call could eventually become my catalog raisonné, but yeah, as soon as it comes to codes, it just feels like a foreign language to me. Like how, you know, I can come up with lots of different codes, but none of them feel adequate, or they feel excessively difficult to maintain or whatever. All right, I'll share with you what I've done here with these pencil marks through the paint. So all of these any line that looks like these fine lines, those are brand new. Because they are not from the wet process, but they have a nice, I think, a nice relationship to the marks from the wet printing.
Yeah.
So
It's quite a little mark-making tour de force, that spread.
It's fun, eh?
Rebecca says, love teaching about Paul Klee to kids because of the accessibility of his work.
Yeah. You can just come at Paul Klee so many ways, right? It's wonderful.
He also loves Paul Klee. He says, kids must love your class, Rebecca.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Because of Rebecca, too.
Yeah.
Oh, I've just done a blob. Ever done a blob? Yeah, I got a blob. Man.
You need an anti-blob.
Yeah, you know, a piece of deli paper would do that.
Of course,
I
you
can
want
get
to
at
the
it.
bottom, don't you?
It's in a pile. There we go. Actually making quite an interesting set of marks on my deli paper, so you never know. Everything's an opportunity, guys.
A blobbertunity.
Opportunity. This is what I live with. Okay, so I've got some neat marks on my.
That's great.
Now I'm going to scratch through what remains. Try and open it up. You were mentioning about making mistakes earlier, Stella, and you know, I thought I should model that. Like I have to try, right? Oh, well, you never know. That could become something. I'll let it dry and then I'll try erasing the pencil scratchings I've done in graphite and see what happens. So that's good.
Kay says, I'll be doing some deli prints later. I have some cool foliage for my veggies.
Oh, neat. Yeah. Vegetables are fantastic and herbs are great. Really fat flowers aren't good, particularly, but you know, any flour that you can sort of flatten can be really good. Semi-flatten. Yeah.
Petal power.
Petal power, eh? Okay, I want some red scratches onto this. So I can tie into the scratches on Yeah, this paint, the red paint that I added open medium to is starting to set up now. So I'm getting sort of really fine scratches or lines when I draw through. And, you know, bits of residue rather than, but that is kind of fun too, so. That's just a little bit. Yeah, what I might do is come back here. Say, all right, what am I? I'm going to make this black. Can you pass me my, from the Rolly cart, the Speedball ink tall bottle? Thank you.
Is that the right one? That's
No, the Speedball one. It has a rounded top, domed top. This is the better word for it.
I see it.
Good. Thank you. Oh, gem powder.
That's okay.
Sorry, I thought it was sweet corn. Oh, that's funny. I thought one of these was black. But it's blue. Oops. One of my drinks is on the floor.
Doing a little unintentional drawing with the chair.
Yeah. I'm rolling wheels onto a print. Who knows what I'll get as a result, but
Parallel processing.
I'll say that I'm referencing Steve Laurie's work. Steve Laurie is an artist in the Greater Toronto area who he's done a lot to do with sort of car culture, and he has this incredible machine he's made out of, like, I don't know if it's a lawnmower or a rototiller or something, where he's put a rubber wheel on it and he powers it up and draws in parking lots by burning rubber like a car tire.
Yeah, and I think it's a very physical thing because
Very.
the wheel is spinning and he holds it with like handles.
He has to resist it and guide it and do all
so
these
it
things.
Makes all this skidding noise
and it makes the
burning rubber. So he's very he does all these things, critiquing and also celebrating sort of male
blue collar male car culture and trucking culture.
Yeah, it's actually quite fascinating.
Yeah. Anyway, remarkable. We saw him do it once in the Station Gallery in Whitby, Ontario, in a parking lot. And it's quite large scale drawing, quite physical. If you've heard of the term action drawing, this would qualify for that. Also mechanically aided drawing. And he builds the machines that do that too. So he's using the skills of the culture he's commenting
he's
on.
Made all kinds of interesting things. And usually what they are is they're designed not to like move from one place to another or like the way a car is, but it's designed to sound or do the other sort of corollary type things that are part of male expression.
Yeah.
Or male blue collar expression, at least, not exclusively. Huh? I'm gonna post a link. Kay says, "Yes, I have been. We had so much fun." Oh, sorry. I asked her whether she had been taking your jelly printing.
Yes, she certainly has. Which just ended this week. I should mention that I'm going to have a 4-week course coming up. Perhaps Cal can look up what the dates are after my break on contemporary mixed media. It'll be an online course, so geographic location is not a limitation. 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Fridays.
July 17th.
Starting July 17th and ending, I think, August 7th or thereabouts.
Yeah.
And so people who are already working on altered books or whatever can continue to do that if they want to. But and people who were in my Jelly Jam will be able to put some of the jelly prints to use in other ways than just a print. But it's, we'll talk about a number of ways of working in mixed media, look at some art, look at some tools and processes and materials. I'm opening it up to my currently enrolled students first, but I expect that there will be some spaces remaining. And so middle or later this week, it will open up in general for enrollment. And it'll be 4 classes for $100 Canadian. anyway, it's one of my core subjects because it's a way I work, right? So anyway, I hope it will be fun. It usually is. I mean, it has always been. I expect it will continue so. So I've got a nice black ground now. I see I need to touch up my gluing. But that's fine, I will do that. And as I discovered last time, I did a black India ink ground. Look at that. I will, if I'm looking to collage onto it, I will need to think about what I'm going to use to collage it with, because it will resist acrylic media. But I'm thinking gel pens would be kind of nice on this black.
I should give you a heads up that it is 3:35.
Is it really? Wow. Maybe I'll just have a sip of something to drink. Give this a moment to dry. The fan on it. So next week, I should have the book cover done or substantially well along, and more of these pages developed. I don't know whether I'll. Well, I should at least get the book done in July. Even if I take a break, I should manage that. It's far enough along that that could happen. Yeah, I think that's nice. I like the sequence of moving from the black page to that. It's really dense in black. And then you get the punch of the red, and this is more open.
Yeah.
You know, classic thing, this is the first page I did, and of course, I would do the same treatment, but I'd do it better now. But at the time, I didn't really know what I was doing.
I think that's in part just the nature of working in a book, right? I find any art project I take on, the first parts of it are like, oh, now I look back at it and think, now if it's stride, I would have done that differently.
Yeah.
But you have to start somewhere, right?
You do, and that's the thing. But that's why you part of why I feel the reluctance, because I know when I first start, I don't really know what I'm doing, and so it's hard to do that with 100% confidence and skill, right? Because you don't know what the objective is. So
one way of getting around that would be to start on something as a little warm-up thing, but that has pitfalls too, right? Because then you kind of like, oh well, I'm not doing it for real yet, so you don't think about it in the same way either. So
I think in the end, you just have to allow it.
It's kind of
allow it to be what it is.
If you're really anxious about it, you do things like, okay, well, I'm going to start with this part that matters less.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of artists, their underpaintings or their
preparing grounds is one of painting or otherwise activating grounds. Like you can collage in a ground, you can paint a ground, you can print a ground. Grounds definitely are a great way to start.
Gets you warmed up.
Yeah. And just pouring some of the ink back into the ink container.
Why not?
No reason to waste it.
Exactly.
So, well, I guess that's a good place to end, isn't it? Oh, well, but I can't end without doing a flip through.
No, Mia would not approve.
No.
Won't let you get away with that.
So, all right. Hopefully, even though they're not clean, they're dry. All right, so flip through. Okay, so next week we'll see what happens to the cover. And actually what I'm going to do is pull the camera closer so that since I don't have to show what's on my table anymore. Okay. And I've got the silver ready for what's happening. I have a plan for the inside of the cover that relates to how I want the cover to be. So stay tuned next week because I'm going to do something out of the ordinary for this book. There's the black ground I just painted. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay. I did talk about the fact that this is, you can see this shape as purely abstract, but I see it as a vessel and maybe alluding to a rice bowl, which then suggests something for this page, like 3 grains of rice. This one I need to fix this page. The graphite is transferring onto the otherwise pristine page. So I'm going to, maybe today I'll fix that before I head out for my tea time.
You should.
And let it dry. And then once I've fixed it a couple of times, I'll erase the residue on this side.
And he says, rice bowl, love rice, LOL.
I mean, really, what says East Asia and Southeast Asia more than rice? So that's the collaged on piece of another book. And the negatives are collaged on from another book. And the text is upside down compared to what's inside the shape. And close up on the surface of the all over. And I think I forgot to show this. This is still in progress. So, another allusion to the vessel rice bowl idea. But we've got that sort of impressionistic side there. So I'm going to be developing that some more. And just a reminder that this was masked off. So this is actually the book page, and I painted outside of that circle, whereas this is collaged on. This is the one that Cal said he really liked, the dotty side. The layers of color are kind of nice. And then I guess I just went crazy with dots. I don't know. What's not to love about a dot? It's the most basic design element there is. Oh, sorry, I should do a close-up just because it is. All those details in there. And then there's this. So I went super, super metallic on this one. And there, now you can see the dots on the other page. And the dots became really important here. So I decided to express them differently here. And so here, there's a lot of silver on both of these pages, although this with red. As soon as they become perforations, so hopefully you can see, sorry, put something red behind it. Yeah, it just becomes this new thing. And then also because it's silver, perforated metal, it just recalls that. And then this is what I did on the reverse side. So those are raised nubs. And then that vessel shape comes back again, a different version of it, this time in a matte gel. So you see how you can see through to the ground underneath, but not clearly.
You're just going to have to pause for a second because
okay.
I have to say, Philip has said, loved watching you today. Couldn't chat before because Ringo was using the computer. Just jumped up and started to print on an area of the painting I'm working on.
Fabulous.
And,
that's so great.
Mia says, love the dotty side pages. I think I missed that session too. Philippa says, love the pages with dots and perforations. Mia says, love your imagination is incredible. You can put it into practice. And Annie says, amazing how your imagination flows.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you, guys. I like the contrast between these textures because this striated side is it has a real tactile texture, and this has a real tactile texture too. Even around the holes, you can see it's raised because I was punching through from the other side, so the paper raised on this side. This is a spread in progress. It has an image transfer, photo transfer, a severe close-up on some pink hydrangeas. The transfer, I was doing it directly into the book, and it didn't go cleanly, but I don't worry about that. You know, there's so many things I can do with this, and so stay tuned. And then this is textural as well, in order to achieve my all over.
That's with like modeling
effect.
paste, right?
Yeah, this is with modeling paste, so it's very matte. It's very raised and sort of hard. And I may be filling the bottom with it too, but my stencil was limited to that. There's my blackout poetry that I read to you last week, and my stream of consciousness writing. And you were watching me work on these today. This is definitely getting richer, I think. So that's heartening. The black side might almost be done. The red one needs some surface development. And then this side, I'm really excited about those lines that I put in today. So that's good. And there's that blob. So stay tuned for the what happens to the blob. On the plus side, it's breaking through that sort of wall that line creates. So,
and it's on the same angle as a bunch of the marks on the opposite.
It is. It's just too blobby. Yeah. So, yeah, anticipate something breaking it up. And then, of course, there's this Black Lives Matter related. That, you know, just it was not premeditated. I was working from a hand holding a handbag handle holding a handbag in a fashion magazine, and it became this on the fly. And I just put in a few red marks on this one. You see, and the paint was set up so it became very scratchy.
Only came partially here and there.
That's right. Nice. And then I didn't do anything to this today. I just I had previously put some residue on it. So that is where the book stands now. And really, that's not a lot of pages left to go, really. And I'll probably cut some out. No, that's not tons. So that's how it doesn't sit flat. It's got some thick stuff in there. It needs some pages to come out.
Just one question for you.
Yeah.
Before you wrap.
Yeah.
You've talked about keeping the cover till later, so when you have a better idea.
Yeah.
And opening pages. Are you thinking about building towards a climax visually of some kind as you get towards the end of the book as well? Or?
I don't know. I not necessarily. No.
Right. Okay.
I think it's I don't know that it has quite that determined an arc. Like, I think the metallic section, including the perforations, is a kind of peak in the experience. But I do these pages pretty spontaneously and responsively. So, you know, based on what I'm seeing, you know, I did the perforations because of the dots on this page. And I did this page because of the geometry of this page. And I did this page. I don't know how I got to metallic. I just did. But the dots grew out of this and this, right? So that's the responsiveness that I mean. So I don't know. So your guess is as good as mine in terms of how this turns out by the end. Hopefully there will be something rewarding that will make it worthwhile to get all the way to the end. So we'll see how that actually turns out. Ooh, I just had one little idea. So it might be fun. So yeah, stay tuned. Yes, I want to say thank you everybody for coming, and I'm going to wrap things up now. Remember, there's one more virtual studio party before I take a 2-week break. So be back here a week from today, and you'll see what happens to the cover, or at least a good chunk of what happens to it. And yeah, and tell your friends, if you know anybody who might enjoy this, might benefit from it. Maybe they're isolated, maybe they're missing their classes or whatever, or just want some creative company. Please spread the word. And yeah.
I just want to read a few things
Oh,
before you
that's
wrap,
nice.
and
But anybody who has to go now, I just want to say bye and thanks so much for coming. It's great to be with you.
Mia says, once again, thank you for wonderfully creative and inspiring studio party. Appreciate your time. Bye, everyone. Stella says, thank you for this virtual art party. Bye, everybody. Sending love from LA. Kay says, have to go now. Lots of inspiration as always. Thanks to Cal and everyone. And he says, fearless. Love it. Thank you for sharing. Have a great weekend, Cal. Stay safe, everyone.
Yes. Have a great weekend. And yes, everyone, please stay safe. Remember COVID. You can be weary of all the things around COVID, but COVID doesn't care. The virus goes on, doesn't care how tired we are of things. So hopefully this helps. And I know you helped me. So much appreciated. Thanks so much, Rebecca and Kirk. So glad you could both join us. Take care. And hopefully I can find some tape this time. See you next week. Oh, thank you, Elaine. Thank you for bringing your wonderful humanness to it.